Reinvention in the Round with Lemon Squeezy, a unique coaching experience. Learn about the reinvention process and watch it unfold before your eyes. Business strategist and leadership expert Shari Goodwin coaches ex-racehorse Lemon Squeezy toward new career options in front of a live audience.
Welcome everyone to our second edition of Reinvention in the Round. I'm so happy to see you guys and see so many familiar faces from the first one and so many new people who are now part of this journey. So thank you for coming. Really excited to spend time with all of you today. And we even have a birthday weekend, so happy birthday. Yay. So I'm Shari Goodwin. I'm a business strategist and a leadership coach, and I own Jaeger 2 Strategies for Success. And what I do is I mostly help business professionals, leaders, executives, entrepreneurs navigate change with clarity and confidence, hopefully, and build trust along the way and achieve their big goals. So that takes many different forms. I do it by coaching, consulting, do some facilitation, public speaking, write a book, lots of different things. But one of my favorite modalities for helping folks go through that process is by way of the horse. And we're going to explore that process today with Lemon Squeezy. So I'm really excited to share him with you today. He's made some progress since the last time we got together. And if you haven't seen the video from the first session, it's posted on YouTube and it's free, so just go have a look at that at your leisure. There's some fun things in there. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the reinvention process, give you an overview of the process and some of the states of transformation so that we'll get some context for what we're going to see. If you want to take notes, feel free. If you have questions, jot them down. We'll have an open Q&A at the end, and we'll also take questions throughout, so we'll have plenty of time for good discussion. So we'll do the overview. I want to share with you a few things that have transpired since we last met in February and give you a little bit of an update there. Then we'll bring Lemon Squeezy in. We'll do some coaching and get a status check-in with him, see where he is. And then we'll bring him back out and open for a Q&A and discussion. All right? So that's our plan. Okay, so the first thing is I want to make sure that everyone is familiar with this reinvention process. And we covered this last time. And I want to go through it again because I think really it's always important to kind of keep going through this and figure out where am I, what's happening, where's my organization. So we're going to be looking at today, we're going to look at things from two perspectives. You as a leader leading yourself through a reinvention process. And you as a leader potentially leading a group through a reinvention process. All right, so there's two things. So it depends on where you are. You may be leading yourself through your own transformation, reinvention, shifting things up in your business, in your life, professionally. Looks like different things for different people. I've reinvented myself so many times. I was an environmental scientist for 20 years. I was a management consultant. I ran a horse boarding stable. I ran an IT staffing and consulting firm. I worked as a hostess in a restaurant. I worked as a waitress in a restaurant. I mean, a million things. I was a kennel manager. All kinds of things. So identity and shifting it up and going through a process where you're moving to the next step is very intentional. And there is, as I've gone through this over the years and helped so many other companies and individuals, I've found that it's better if you actually know what the process is and you have some idea of where you are, because that gives some structure. So this is a process that I like to use. I found it through David Nagel and The Art of Success too. He does a really good job with his work. He based some of this off of Raymond Hollywell's Working with the Law, which is a really great book. Tons of really excellent references out there. If anybody's interested, I'm happy to share my list that I use and keep adding to. But really what he does, and these folks outline, is first you have to have some awareness of something that you want to change. And it's like anything. You want to go on a diet, okay, have awareness, whatever it is. Then you need to make a decision to do something about it. And then you need to make the change. Then you need to adapt to the change, and then hopefully if all goes well, you grow. And if all doesn't go well, you still grow. So this isn't really a linear process. It's all over the place, but these are the elements. These are the key components of it. You can have awareness and never make a decision. You could bounce around. You can make a decision and then not make the change, and you're bouncing around here for 10 years. Seriously, right? So that's happened to me, and then sometimes you're down here and you've made a few changes, but you don't have the infrastructure in your life to really make sure that you've shored up the new place. So you get back over here because you're never really making an adaptation and growing and changing. So there's a lot of things that are involved in each one of these steps. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So we'll see Lemon Squeezy go through some of this process today and think about where you are in your life in this process, because we're always reinventing from moment to moment, right? Every single moment. You might have awareness of, hey, I want to try this other new way of doing things in addition. And you make a decision to do it, you make a change, adapt to it, and you grow. You get some kind of result from it. It's always something. Okay, so there's that chart. And this chart is a new chart that I made called States of Transformation. And really what I find in this whole process is we're motivated from moment to moment by either confidence and trust or fear. Fear is a great motivator for action, and so is confidence and trust. And there's no judgment about whether or not that's good. I mean, if you get scared of something and you step away and you save yourself, that's a good fear motivator, right? So a lot of people get in the habit of looking at fear as a negative thing. It's not a negative thing, it's a good thing. But just if it's to the extreme, it's not so great. So states of transformation. This is a very simple way of looking at the reinvention process. And at any moment, you can bounce back and forth from either side. So let's say you're trusting and you're confident. You start to feel safe. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good thing. And when you feel safe, you can explore. You start traveling around. And then you start seeing different options. And then you grow. Sounds simple enough, right? Now, on the opposite side here are the fear triggers. So you feel safe, and then, uh-oh, I don't feel safe, I feel unsafe. Whoa, something's not right. You take a step back. And that can put you in this cycle of not moving, now I'm stuck. And now I don't see very many options because my brain's in this little stuck place. It's like right here. And you'll see this with Lemon Squeezy, maybe. We'll see where he is. And then you start to shrink back from what you thought you wanted to do, right? And at any moment, you can flip back and forth. So again, I have this kind of in a circle with these seemingly opposing forces. They're not really in opposition. It's just acknowledging that we go back and forth around the circle so many times. And just knowing where you are, having that awareness, can give you an opportunity to say, okay, hold on. How can I make myself feel more safe? What do I need to feel more safe? You know, I can feel my world closing in. Maybe I took too big a step. Maybe I've overwhelmed myself. I do that a lot. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. This sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah, bring it on. Say yes to everything. Hold on. Okay, maybe I should have said no to a couple things so I could focus and actually do one of those things well and complete it. So this is what we're going to see Lemon Squeezy go through again today, and think about where you are in your life in any one of these places. Are you feeling safe? Where do you need to feel a little bit more safe to start exploring? I see a question. Yeah.
So in a situation where there are two beings participating in the transformation, like you and Lemon Squeezy, for instance, it seems to me one of the possibilities is that one of you feels safe and the other one feels unsafe, and there's an interaction that goes on there. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, great point. Thank you for bringing that up. So in the beginning, and I glossed over this a little bit, so we're looking at two perspectives. We're looking at you as a leader, leading yourself through this process, which is pretty much what I was just speaking to right there. And then there's you as a leader leading your team or leading another, whatever it might be. It might be a horse, it might be a dog, it might be a team of humans, it could be your child. Could be anything. So This is like on cue. Yes, thank you for that. So who do you need to be as the leader as you're going through this process? And what I've found with Lemon Squeezy is really it's about being calm and being very confident, maybe confident in the relationship, may not even be confident on the path, right? What's more important? Is it the actual thing that you're doing or the relationship with the other? For me, it's relationship first, always, always. I'll abandon the plan to preserve the relationship. That's just me. I've found that works for the sustainable long term. And then, so you have three really important components, is to be very clear, be very calm, have the confidence, and then be really clear. And by clear, what I mean by that is being clear in what you want to have happen, and also clear in being open to receive from other so that you can make adjustments. Does that answer your question? Partly?
Yeah.
Not at all.
I think you could probably go on about that for another hour without trouble. So,
I can go on for that, yes. And we're going to see more of that. It's an excellent question, and there's no clear this is how it's done. It's so nuanced, and it's feeling. And what I want to share with you next, we're going to talk about on this next chart. So questions on this before we flip to one more? Okay, so we're going to have time to go back over some things. I just want to share one more with you. And any of you who have worked with me before will see this chart. It's actually got stuff on it because I've traveled all over the place with it. It might be a little horse spit and who knows what. This is, again, I like to distill things down to their simplest parts. So for me, these are process flow diagrams just to kind of encapsulate pretty intense concepts in a very simple way. That's where my brain works, and it's kind of the way horses' brains, kind of clear, and it's either this or it's that, or it's kind of over here, and you're okay. You're either okay or you're not okay. That's basically how I navigate the world too. So with this leadership model, this will get to your point a little bit around who do you need to be in order to inspire and motivate others to follow you in a way that they feel safe. And the biggest thing is first your own energy, your fuel source, the energy that drives you, being very calm. And that's up here, fuel. The second thing is having a vision about what you want, and that's the clarity piece. So, and then the third thing is action. And if you get all three of these things lined up in the right way, you hit the middle place here, and you can get really fast results, really profound results. So that's the working smarter, not harder thing. And what I found is if any one of these is missing, so say you have great fuel and a great vision and you're like, yeah, this is all fantastic, and you never do a darn thing, you're not taking action, that's the all talk, no action. So I've worked for some clients who, they have this master plan, they hire me in, we talk, we have SMART goals, we got a strategy, we have all this stuff. Nothing happens. Sits on the shelf, there's no follow-up, and then the next year, well, we really need to do da-da-da-da, whatever it is. Okay, so this piece is clearly missing. There's an implementation plan or an execution plan that is clearly missing. In the second place, number 2 here, is when people are taking a ton of action and they have pretty good fuel, meaning you have a good mindset and you've nourished yourself and you're in a good place. You're taking a lot of action, but you've lost sight of your vision. When you've lost sight of your vision, you get scattered results and frustration. And that happens to a lot of us who are in the grind, right? It can happen when you've been working for a long time and then you just work. You're just so busy all the time that you become almost a victim of your own success. And you forget what the longer term, bigger picture is because you're so busy with the day-to-day stuff. And when you finally step out, it's like, okay, what's the vision here? What's the corporate vision? What's the organizational vision? What's my own vision for my own life? And what am I doing in order to make that happen? And who am I being in order to make that happen in a way that's meaningful for me? So we're going to see some of this play out with Lemon Squeezy as well. And then in the third step, this is where you have vision and you're taking tons of action, but you haven't been nourishing yourself, others, your team. And so you have this grand plan and it's so amazing and it feels fantastic, but you haven't been recharging. And so you have an unsustainable and a burnout. And that happens with a lot of very successful people. I mean, it can happen at any level. It doesn't even matter. You don't have to be working for this to be happening. You can have it happen in your own life. And what happens there is you're always last. Your needs are always last. Your team, you lose sight of the relationship needs and the things that are there because you're just busy doing the whatever it is, and you've got a big client and you have to administer, and they keep changing the date and they add more, scope creep, whatever it is. That can happen. Does this resonate with you guys? Make sense? Okay. So that's it for charts. Just wanted to give you some context for what we're going to see today. Any questions on any of these so far? We're good? Yes, Cindy.
The chart before.
Yep.
Yeah. I think for me the hardest thing is realizing where you are.
Yeah.
So we had a situation recently where we traveled and some stuff happened. I didn't realize that I wasn't feeling safe, but I knew when I got stuck and I knew I didn't see any options. And when I shrink, I can get really mean.
Yeah.
And it took reaching out to someone to go, oh, so you didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what can we do to help you feel safe? And then this person presented a bunch of options.
Yeah.
So I could then feel safe and explore and look at different options that I just couldn't see, so then we could step forward to grow. But for me, the hardest part was I didn't realize I wasn't feeling safe.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a great point. Thank you for that. The fight or flight, fight, freeze are the big things on the fear side, right? So fight, if you're behaving out of character, meaning you're getting heat, or something's really triggering you, and that's not normally how you are. Most of us are not normally that way. I mean, truthfully, hopefully not. But if you're really kind of in this place, there's some stress trigger, which is usually a fear trigger. There's a fear of failure. There's a fear, I just can't do this. You're asking, you've been pushed over the edge. The other party has no clue all the other stuff that's going on. But something has pushed you into that place. And then you get into that paralysis, overwhelm, whatever it is, and you just shut down, or which is the freeze piece, or you lash back out, which is the fight thing, or you just escape, you leave. Avoidance behavior, huge. So that's what we do, we run away. Yeah. Yeah, Lori.
So what I have is that whether I really feel safe or not, I'll see like a whole bunch of options and I'm really excited, but I'm scared. I go into the freeze, so I'm still seeing all the options, but I can't take action to do anything about it. Yeah. I'm just sitting there going, I'm working, that's something it's a huge program. It's affecting so many areas of my life. And it's kind of like you're picking up the corners of the carpet to get rid of it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And that's the fear of making the wrong decision. What am I going to choose to focus on? Because if I choose to focus on this and give myself to this, but what about all this other stuff?
That's part of it, but it's also attention and receiving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it shows up for different people in different ways. That's what's so most important here. There's no prescription. There's no, this is the way we do it, and this is the way we solve it. Sorry, there isn't. It's the answer is, well, it depends. What's going on for you? Let's dig around in there. And you're like, I just want the solution. Just fix it. I've had some people come to me and be like, just fix me. Just fix me. I'm not fixing anything. There's nothing to fix. You're perfect. You're fine. Let's just dig out what's going on and figure out how you want to best move forward with this thing. So terrific. Okay, yeah.
Quick question about it kind of fits into both of these boards that you have out right now. So if you have a leadership, the vision and the fuel and they're driving your team to unsustainable burnout, everybody feels safe because there's job security, but everybody feels unsafe because it's like we are overwhelmed. How do you find that balance within your own state of transformation to handle somebody else's scatterbrained or results?
And that's such a great question, is you're kind of in the middle. So you're not really in charge of moving things forward, but you're still very responsible for being part of it and continuing to move it forward. And that's a really tricky place to be. So the biggest thing for me is connecting with the vision. Really connecting with the vision. What's my role in this vision? What are we really trying to do? And build understanding. So if that means having a conversation with your supervisors or whoever is in charge and saying, hey, I'm feeling a little disconnected here from what we're doing longer term, and I'm wondering about these folks who are working for me or whatever, because they're in the mine here and they're working away, and I'm worried that we're going to burn out here because it's just going and going and going. So that fuel source, yeah, down here, what can we do? Connecting with this vision, connecting with the why, and what do these people need in order to be able to continue this pace for the long term? It could be a rotation, it could we need staff augmentation, it could be a different skill set, it could be just a day, a month where you do some type of employee engagement activity that's cool and not silly, that everyone's like, there's the employee engagement, check it off the box. It's actually meaningful, or listening sessions. So really trying to build engagement around that, because what we're always looking to do is have this shared vision where everyone is offering. Everyone's offering and stepping forward into that. And that's one of the things that I've found in my work, and also with Lemon Squeezy recently, is he is offering, he's meeting, he's stepping forward into this vision. Even though the how is not clear necessarily, he's actually saying, yes, I'm in. And with my horse Noble, I've worked with him for forever, and he's offering more. So who around you are the people that are offering more, that are stepping forward and giving even more, and giving even more? What does that look like? Because there's this reciprocity. If you're just dictating things down and people are executing, that's one thing. But who's actually, you want to be building, lifting up so that they can come and meet you and then even offer more, from a place of high impact, that it's not from a place of overwhelm and, oh my God, I have to do more. It's, here, let's try this together. And there's power in that. And we could have a whole day on that too, so thank you for raising it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great. So let me give you, any more questions before I give you the update on Lemon Squeezy? I know there's a lot here. And we can continue some of this on the Facebook page. If any of you guys are on Facebook, look for the Reinvention in the Round, because I'll be posting insights from our day. Feel free to pose questions in there and we can continue a conversation. Yeah.
Question.
Sure.
I'm in a decision, well, I've made the decision. I'm leaving my place of employment. I've made the decision.
Congratulations.
So I'm in the change piece of it. And you talked about, you mentioned the word infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm finding myself at right now, that change part. So can you talk a little bit more about what the infrastructure would look like?
Sure.
For that place that I am at now.
Perfect. Thank you so much for raising that question. So and congratulations, that's huge. Woohoo. So infrastructure looks very different for different organizations and for different people. Infrastructure for you means, first of all, it would be who's your support team? Who are the people around you who can support you through this process? Emotionally, mentally, physically, what do you need? So these are the 4 areas. Emotionally, what do I need to be able to have this happen? Mentally, how do I need to be thinking about this? The thoughts. Physically, real physical infrastructure. What do I need here? And that can go from money, a place to live. It could be the steps I need to take, the companies I want to solicit, the resume materials, which is because basically you're your own business in a sense right now. So you're your own brand. So you want to market yourself, package yourself. Infrastructure around that is how do I physically want to appear here, and what do I need to support that? Right? Including now, who are strategic partners? Who would I want to get information from? What companies are doing really awesome stuff that are in alignment with my values? So going back and doing a core values exercise yourself so that you can figure out, because really the best reinventions are all about finding your own alignment with somebody else or something else that's like right there. That's it. It's your best strengths, your values. You're just excited to give every day and show up fully. Right? So there's lots of different infrastructure. So really think about the people you need, the places you want to show up, where do you want to start deepening relationships, making connections, and setting up a plan to do that. So the infrastructure can be the plan too. Every week, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? How many resumes am I going to send out? Where to? All of that, milestones. The other piece of good leadership is being able to look at success metrics. So companies will call them key performance indicators, KPIs, you hear that all the time. So I encourage people to really think about how are you defining success along your reinvention journey. Because I'll tell you what, it's gonna try you. And you're not gonna feel very successful sometimes. You're gonna feel like a bum. I mean, it can get really ugly and painful and teary and like, that's it, I give up. I'm just gonna go crawl under a cave or just go back to whatever. All right, so it can get pretty ugly. So success metrics. What does success look like for me along this journey? Is it the number of folks I've talked to each week, the number of networking events, and make sure they're meaningful, where you spend your time and your money is really important. Don't just like free form all out there, just anybody talking to anybody. Talk to very targeted specific folks, all right? So key performance indicators, set up your success metrics for your process. So for me, for example, I'll give you just a horse one. There's tons of business ones, but this is a really fun horse one. My horse Noble had all kinds of issues a while back and lost confidence in everything he did. And I'm going to be a distraction now because there is the beautiful Lemon Squeezy entering the ring. And this is my husband, Jim. Thank you, honey. So I'm going to take a pause on the KPIs for a moment. For anybody who was here last time, you guys notice the difference, how he walked into this room? Uh-huh, look at this, yeah. So last time he walked into the room, he was like, and he kind of settled, but it was also like 9 degrees or something. Everybody was bundled in parkas, and I mean, it was just amazing that people actually even showed up for this thing. So we'll just let him walk for a minute while I finish this thought. So for Noble, who got very stressed, he would get stressed in the barn, and anytime I tried to tack him up, he would scream for his buddies, try to blast out of the cross ties, and he's pawing, and he did it like this, and he's wiggling around, and he's pooping every 2 seconds, which is a sign of stress. Good thing we don't do that all the time. It'd be terrible. So my KPIs, my success metrics for him, was how many times did he scream for his buddies, how many times did he poop, and how many times did he paw? Right? Those are my my key performance indicators. I wanted a reduction each time. And I finally got it down to 0. I mean, now it's like maybe 1 here and there. But this is the thing about these KPIs. Make them for you, design them for you. They don't have to look like anything else. These are for you as you go through your journey. All right? Okay, so Lemon Squeezy. Here's Lemon Squeezy. He is officially 7 years old by the Jockey Club. He's a thoroughbred. He raced till he was 2 years ago, so till he was 5. He won several races. He was actually a pretty good racehorse at West Virginia, in Charlestown, West Virginia, and won about $80,000, which is not bad. He's been with me since right at the end of January. He came in that freezing cold, whatever we had, the ice age of Virginia. So it was pretty tough. But what we have been doing since the last time we met is we've been working on the trust, feel safe trajectory. He didn't feel safe. There was no way he felt safe here at all. He didn't feel safe out in the field, didn't feel safe anywhere, and we've had to spend some time with that. So I've been working on building his confidence, which if you look at him now, he's, what do you make of that? Kind of chill, okay. His confidence and building up, so he's had kind of, just a little communication here. He's been finding his voice. He's finding his voice. So as he finds his voice, he's been exploring, he's been seeing lots of options, and he's been growing. And also as he's found his voice, he's got a little bit of the coming out, right? All right, because it's kind of like when you hire a new senior person, because even though he's very green, he's not a baby. You know, he's a good racehorse. He's a professional. I have a lot of respect for that. He's not a baby, and he reminds me of that quite frequently. So lately, he's been reminding me that, well, this is just not the way we do it. That's the way we do it. I can't work like this, and this ring is way too small, and I need way more space than this kind of thing, because come on, I mean, who can get around that ring? So we've had, you know, and what that looks like is he rears up, and he's, you know, I don't know if he'll do that today because he's looking pretty chill, but we've had a few conversations around this, and what that looks like in a work environment potentially is you hire a senior consultant or you hire a senior expert in something, and they come in, yep, got it, yep, good. And then all of a sudden they start challenging the rules on how you do things. And they're like, no, well, what if we did this or this? And they're gradually gaining more and more power. And you're like, what the heck? This isn't how we do it, and this is not our culture. And now you've created a monster because they're all confident, and you've kind of given your power over to them. Anybody relate to that? All right. Okay, so in the spirit of building a trusting relationship with confidence and feeling safe, sometimes there's a tipping point where there needs to also be some boundaries. And as a leader through this process, it's your responsibility for your own self, too, to say, no. This is where it is. And clarity, right? Being calm, confident, and clear with that. Just, this is where it is. Oh. And then they start backing down, and then they feel calm, confident, and safe and clear because you were. So there's that reciprocity again and that reflective component. All right, so we're going to shift gears, and we're going to work with him in there. You guys have any questions before we jump over here? She's like, I got a million questions. Okay, so the way this is going to work, Jim is going to put Squeezy in the round pen. I am going to coach Lemon Squeezy, and for those of you who are coaches, it might look a little bit different than normal coaching. Coaching is a process of inquiry and discovery. So the inquiry that I present to Lemon Squeezy may not actually be a verbal question. It may be a nonverbal question. It may be a behavior, emotion, or whatever, and I will try to narrate as we go. And you guys can share observations and what this looks like for you. Okay? So Jim, if you don't mind, maybe you can go ahead and bring him into the arena, and you guys can either bring your chairs over along the edge, or you can stand, whatever is easiest for you. We're going to go ahead and shift gears. All right. So we're already having a conversation. So what's the conversation we're having right now? Do I have treats? That's great. What else is being asked right now? What are we going to do today? Okay, so did you see how close he got there? And he was kind of wanting to bite on me? All right, so see what I mean about the boundary challenging? So we didn't have any of that last time. It was all very civilized. So in my coaching session, I'd say this is the equivalent. So how you doing? So how you doing? Okay. Anybody ever have a conversation like that?
Like, I'm going back with him. I don't want to be with you right now.
Yeah, so let's just say, does he feel safe? Oh, yeah. Is he exploring? Is he seeing options? Is he seeing any options he wants to pursue?
He's still trying to figure that out.
He's like, oh, I got stuck with her. All right. Are you sure you don't have treats? All right, so I'm going to ask him to just back up a little bit. Yeah, good. All right. So for those of you who were here last time, what do you notice that's changed? Confidence? He's not sticking like glue. He was all over me last time. Keeps returning for reassurance. So for any of you guys who have staff, or for coaches who have coaching clients, what does this look like? This is your staff person. They're coming in, checking in. Wants reassurance. And what's his big question right now?
What am I supposed to be doing?
What am I supposed to do? And you got it earlier. Yeah. What the heck are we doing?
Yes.
Okay? So building confidence through doing. Not just being, but doing. What are we doing? All right? So this right now is, I'm having a meeting with him. This is our status meeting. How's it going? Fine. What do you want me to do? That's it. I don't need to talk about the stuff. I don't need to waste time going around with Billy and this one and that one and whatever. What do you want me to do? Let's cut to the chase. Okay? So, see how quiet he is? The way horses acknowledge things usually is they're like, yeah, that's right. You're right on. Just get with it. Oh, and if you don't get with it, I'm going to bite you. All right, so I'm going to heed that. I don't think I need that. So we're gonna present. So I want him to now check in on a few. Oh no. So this would be the equivalent of checking in on a project. So Lemon Squeezy, how's this going? How's it going, Lemon Squeezy? I'm getting the runaround. All right, so yeah, so okay, so I've asked him a question about, so what's going on? How's this project right here? Oh my goodness, is the project in control? No. The project is apparently totally out of control.
But there's lots of activity.
There's lots of activity. Somebody might be able to help, right? All right, so right now, this would be the equivalent about getting focus, right? So when someone comes in your office and they're telling you the freight train is running, this and this and this and this and this, you're not even going to believe it, and you're like the leader now, right? Or this could be going on in your own head. And you got to figure out, all right, okay, of all of that stuff, let all of that just go through, because that has to happen, right? That has to move, and then we're going to land on something. We're going to land on something, and we're going to figure out how things are really going. So maybe he'll answer the question here. How's that going right there? How's it going? This project over here, right? Yeah, okay. So he's a little hair trigger on that. That's okay. So maybe I'm going to actually be a little more specific about it. How is this going? Maybe I need to ask a little more clearly about how this is going. Still getting the runaround. Don't want to talk about it. He's too busy to talk about it. What a great point. He's too busy. And maybe he wants to talk about something else. So something about that part of the project was really, really, oh, you want to tell me about that. Okay. So there's something over here, so I'm going to go over here and just investigate this part. What about it? Is it a timeline? Is that too aggressive? It's too an ambitious timeline. It's really stressing him out. I don't know. I'm making this stuff up, obviously. So I have no idea, except that this is how it can look, right? Well, maybe he needs a little more guidance. Maybe he needs a little more support. Maybe as a leader, I wasn't close enough to him to help him, right? I let him kind of go free on the project, and he didn't have enough support. He didn't have the resources. He didn't have the people. He's like, holy crap, I can't do this by myself. I need something from you, and you were so busy with the merger, the acquisition, the other people, the new hire, anybody but me, I didn't know what to do. So why don't we look at this together and figure this out? Can we look at this together? I don't know, what do you think? Take a good look at it, right? Yeah, all right. So you need to just slow down and take a look at things sometimes and spend a little bit of time. And also allow that running around. Not try to beat it, not try to smack it, and not get panicked about it. Right? As a leader, when things start to go crazy, if you start reacting to that, what are you creating? More crazy. Yeah, Cindy.
Also, like when you put that rail down,
Yeah.
you threw the stick down.
Yeah.
Then you went and you got the rail and you threw the rail
Yeah.
down. And so it's like you were throwing something, you weren't throwing it at me,
Yeah.
but you were throwing it at me.
Yes. How's that project going?
Yeah. So that's
You're responsible for it.
And that's, yeah, he got really upset.
Got
So he
really
went
upset.
From calm to like you threw it down, and he was like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Changed his world.
Yeah.
Versus calmly.
Yeah.
Versus calmly being aware of him, that maybe he'll freak out. But who has a boss like that? I mean, seriously, there's not that. If you are a boss like that, kudos to you. And if you're not, maybe work to be like that. But most of the time, we just have to deal. We just have to shut up and do it, right? So but this is a real response. So he ran away from it. He had some issues with it. He didn't even want to go near it. Didn't want to talk about it. And then all of a sudden, he started to settle down. He's like, this is a problem. I need help. And how many times do we not ask for help? All right, we just keep avoiding. Okay. So, itchy head, deal with it yourself. Okay, so let's go back and review this issue and just see where we are with it. Are we okay? Did he get what he needs? Can he feel safe with this? I don't know. Let's see. Can he feel safe? What do you guys think? Okay, so he's been heard. He feels safe. Can he see some different options? Maybe. So we checked in on that project. It was going a little crazy, but I think he has the right resources in order to make that happen. And can you move forward with it okay?
He heard you.
He says, sure. That's all good. Okay, so we have another project that is coming up that I need him to talk about. I need to talk to him about it. So look at his face. So we're going to talk about this new project. I'm going to present this project in a little bit of a different way, because that was an old project. I just needed a status report. I didn't realize it was going that crazy. But we got a new project that's a lot bigger. It's a $10 million project. All right, we're gonna look at it. So let's see. So we're going to have a meeting about this. So we're going to have a meeting about this project, which if you notice, there's a little bit of a pattern behavior to how he first approaches stuff, right? Yeah. So I don't want to cause a meltdown in my staff. Yeah. So for those of you who were here last time when we worked with the ball. Yeah. So if you haven't watched the video, watch the video, because the ball is quite something. We've actually made some pretty good peace with the ball. We're not 100% on the ball yet, but it's okay because I'm not schooling the ball or any of that. Really, this is just about presenting some options and letting them get used to the environment and some new things. And so just notice, notice where he is. So notice where he is. Right? So he's a little behind, but where are you?
He's checking it out.
He's checking it out. He's checking it out. Where's most of his body?
Behind you.
reading.
So what does he think about this project?
Unsure.
This could be like, if you have to make a go, no-go decision on something. What do you think he's saying? Is he saying go forward or
No, got to give him some more information.
saying maybe.
He's thinking maybe,
He's thinking maybe.
Right.
Right now it's just, I'm kind of scared of it. I'm curious about it. It sounds like an interesting project and we could really do well with this, but I don't think we're ready to do this. I don't think we're ready to do this at all. It's scary. It's unpredictable.
Right.
And I don't know, do we need to invest all these resources? It sounds like a really big risk for our current state of affairs. Or is it? Okay.
Yeah, what you think?
Find someone else to manage this project.
Yeah, right? So maybe there's another project manager or something that could take it. That might be a good option. And truly, that's the thing about finding your voice, is you can feel free to express to your leaders, I can't do this now. This is too much for me. I think you should give it to Billy or Brenda. They love this kind of stuff.
And he has the whole project going. Yeah.
Exactly, he's got the whole project, exactly, right? So, this is all feedback. And so as his leader, what am I saying to him?
Think about it.
Think about it.
Or listening to him.
Listening to him. Yeah, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Okay, I don't have to do it. No, you don't have to do it. We're just talking about it. We're just exploring the possibility. That's all. Just exploring. Maybe we just need to take again, like the one over there. Maybe I need to step in and guide. Well, what if we did it like this? What if we did it over a couple months? What if we partnered with another firm? Licking and chewing. What if we partner with another firm? Huh. Do you have a subcontractor in mind? You know anybody who specializes in this? Whatever this is. Yeah? You know people that specialize in stuff like that? Oh, he might. He might know people that specialize. Take a look. Yeah. So who do I need to be as a leader in order to inspire this kind of conversation? Calm, confident, and clear, and open, right? Listening.
Being an example.
Patient, and be the example. And what's happening?
He's testing it out. Well, maybe. Can I come here? He's buying into it.
He's buying into it. Great. He's buying into it. Yeah. And actually, I wonder if it was, so maybe it's not so bad. And then what if there was a little something else that was involved here?
Performance award.
He's like, yeah.
What if there's an incentive? What if there's an incentive program?
Yeah.
We kind of sweeten the deal a little bit. Suddenly it's not looking so bad. So now what we've done is we have another firm we've partnered with. He's taken a good look at some of the criteria. He's scoping it out a little bit more now. It's not looking quite as unwieldy. It might actually be possible. So what do you guys make of that phase? Yeah. Okay. So there we are. So we leave that session with some things to ponder for next time. You know, so basically this was our status meeting. We checked in on that project that was apparently going to hell. Got that one righted. We talked about this new proposal effort that, whoa, that was a big bite, you know, 10 million, but maybe it's possible. So we're going to explore some subcontractor options. We're going to look at timeline, and we'll take it from there. Yeah?
Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah. So the thing with the horses that's so interesting for me is they're giving you immediate feedback constantly. So a lot of folks like to talk about how horses reflect your emotional state and they mirror you and all of that. I think I even wrote some of that in my book. It's actually true, and it's also untrue. They clearly have their own stuff going on. You know, just like we all have our own stuff going on. So they're not just necessarily giving you feedback on yourself. He is, and he also has his own thing happening here. Now, if I had blown up and said, "Are you kidding me? I thought that was supposed to be done. And you're so far behind, and you didn't even come to me 6 months ago, and we could have had that," well, that would have been a very different conversation, right? I don't want to scare the heck out of this guy, and it was not necessary. And over here, did I make him be in charge of this? No? Right. And so really thinking about watching how he responds and all of that. Yeah. And asking him to move away or come close, just giving him a little bit more guidance was important. And being able to listen to him and use his strengths in order to have a conversation about this new opportunity. Instead of, and knowing, meaning his strengths are, he's super smart, he's very analytical, he's very careful, and he's very good at his work when he knows what to do. So I appreciate that in him. And yeah, but you're a little close. Yeah, you can stay back. So using those, I didn't want to compromise or jeopardize his strengths in order to have this conversation. I want to use the strengths.
But you also didn't give up.
Didn't give up.
And you were calm, clear. You kind of, you made him feel safer just by standing on the tarp.
Yeah.
So because you were invested in it and said maybe, it invited him to go maybe.
Invited him to go maybe. So what's important there about leadership?
You got to be willing to do it too.
I have a question.
You got to be willing to do it too.
You got to be willing to do it too. Lead by example. You got to be willing to do. Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Though, how did you initially identify the strengths and his gifts and what he already had when you received him? How did you identify the skill set in Lemon Squeezy? How did you do
How did
that?
I identify his strengths and the skills in Lemon Squeezy when I first got him? Because I didn't know him, right?
Right, to respect that and honor that.
So I'll ask you the same question back. How would you do that with a staff person?
How I would do it is I would sit down and talk to them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can look at resumes and all of that, and that's just a snapshot, really, of your skills.
That's right.
Actually, in your education.
Yep.
But it's not until you have the conversation and sit down and talk about, really interested in the person. Themselves. I think that's how you identify what their skills and what they're really good at, because a lot of times we put stuff on our resume because that's our work experience, but we actually have other skills and gifts to offer.
Great point.
Sometimes we don't even know what they all are.
True that.
By working with the person over a period of time,
Yes.
begin to discover some
Yes.
that they may not even recognize themselves initially.
Right.
And that's a great point. So thank you for saying that, Rosalind. So for me, I use the same process. I didn't know him that well. We sat down and had a conversation. Apparently it was incredibly boring. But we had a conversation of sorts, which meant I had a meeting with him when I first met him. I got some information from that meeting. I said, can we have a second meeting? He said, yes. We had a second meeting. And I thought, he's got some pretty interesting skills as a result of that meeting. What he told me, what he showed me, just in 2 sessions, and I used my gut too. I've assessed people and animals for my entire life, so I'm pretty quick with that. My biggest gift is I can see your greatness no matter what kind of horrible place you're in right now. I can see it, I can see it, I can see it. And I could see it with him too. So then I brought him home, and he was completely different than he was at the other place. He was a complete nervous wreck.
Because he was in a new place?
New place, new stuff, new food, everything's new, cold, whatever, just stuff. Even though it's a good place, it was scary for him. So do you judge someone when they're at their worst? No. You can, but when we do that, you risk labeling them and then creating problems going forward. So I really made sure I didn't do that. Try not to do that. And said, okay, yeah, he's jumping around, kind of acting like a freak. And if I say that's who he is and define him as such, I've closed the door on all the options that are available to us. And since I can see the greatness, I knew this was a temporary state, and I just needed to be a better leader for him, to give him, hey, it's okay here. We're good. I get you. I know you're going through a tough time. It'll get better. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get used to. I'm here for you. And honestly, I have showed up for him every day. Every single day since I've had him. I've not gone on travel. I've not gone anywhere. Every day, I don't care if it's freezing cold, totally windy, awful. I don't ride him. I've only ridden him a couple of times, but I'm with him. Yeah. We spend time in the stall, if it's horrible weather, whatever, in the stall, in the grooming. Down here, just doing goofy stuff, not schooling per se, just building a relationship. So I have showed up every day for him. And so for anybody here who's going through reinvention, you got to show up for yourself. You got to show up for yourself every single day. And give yourself what you need. What is it? What do I most need today to feel safe? What do I most need to be able to accomplish this vision? What do I most need even though I'm freaking scared and I want to quit? Who can I reach out to? Who can help me? Where can I go in deep inside and connect to my truth, connect to my inner wisdom or to God, the universe, whoever it is? Where's my faith? What do I need? And give it to yourself. Be sure to give it to yourself. Because you deserve it. And the world needs people who are all full and can share at that level. That's what we need. And it's a commitment. It's a massive commitment. And I'll tell you, in the reinvention process, whether you're reinventing in a business or you're reinventing in your life, that commitment is going to get challenged, and you're just going to feel like quitting. You're going to want to quit because that's the unfortunate part of the journey. You just know that you can persevere. But you got to find the people around you, find the things that fill you and nourish you so they can sustain you through that process so that you can get through that other side. Because on the other side is greatness, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing. Yeah, on my pulpit. Step down. All right.
And not to judge yourself either. Like, you're going to have those moments where you're not going to behave well.
Yes.
And to not judge yourself, just like you don't want other people to judge you when you don't behave well.
Yes, the self-acceptance. Yes, I was ugly. I was ugly out of fear. That's not who I am, and I apologize, and I love and approve of myself no matter what. So I read, Louise Hay was one of my biggest influencers in my life, and if any of you guys don't know Louise Hay, she recently passed. She's written 1 million books, and one of her pivotal books is You Can Heal Your Life, and there's some beautiful things in there, affirmations that you can say to help yourself, but really feel into it. You don't want to just say words just to say words, they've got to be meaningful words, and they've got to be followed by action. And the self-forgiveness is huge. Got to do it every day. So anyway, all right. Well, we're going to thank you, Lemon Squeezy. I think that was a really good meeting that we had, very productive, and I look forward to meeting next week. Get an update on all of his shenanigans. We're going to go ahead and halter him back up, and then we will reconvene over here and do a Q&A and debrief. Well, thank you for that. That was an interesting session. So what are your thoughts and observations? What came up for you as you were watching that session?
Behavior is communication.
Behavior is communication. Say more about that.
Well, that's my background's with disability world, and so with autism particularly, but honestly I find with every disability, like, you can't really figure out how to support the person until you are understanding what their behavior is communicating. And that's just such a critical part. I mean, I looked at him and I thought, well, if we could all be in our office worlds and not use any words and just communicate through our behavior, like, that's kind of like what you're doing over there, where it's, you're just trying to see where, because really I believe we can communicate a lot more clearly without our words. So,
I love that, thank you. Communicating through your behavior. So the actions actually really speak louder than the words. And being able to observe the behavior and get information on how to show up. How do you best serve in this situation with this kind of behavior? Yeah, good. Thank you for sharing that. Love that. Yeah, Jackie.
Knowing your other horses a little bit, I can see that your leadership kind of stays similar with them all. Mm-hmm. Maybe you adjust here and there for the different temperaments, but I can see glimpses of Noble with him, from the I want to be next to you to can I groom you, I can kind of see some of the trust and affection that Noble has in him.
Oh, that's sweet.
So kind of like what you do for their leadership is kind of you're getting a consistent, same message.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think that's important in a work environment too. You can't fluctuate on how you respond to an employee or a new trainee. You can't treat them all different in terms of the process or the work expectation, but then to the individual level is where it changes one-on-one. But you can see that relationship with him is a lot like you and Noble.
Yeah, thanks for observing that. You know, it's funny, Jackie spent some time here and helped me this summer and on a couple things, so I'm grateful for that. So she was able to see Noble's behavior, and many of you guys, several of you guys have worked with Noble or Fresco or Lila or Callie. They're all very different, and you're probably right. I think especially with those two, because they're kind of insecure, and they're pretty flighty, insecure, flighty, reactive, and and they're really smart and sensitive. So it's in some ways they're fairly similar, and it's interesting, and I appreciate that. But being consistent, the consistent behavior, I think, is important because they know what to expect. They know if they blow up, I'm probably not going to blow up. Probably not. I reserve the right to blow up. Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries, exactly. Exactly, boundaries, seriously. Lori.
I love this roof because he'd be doing stuff, and as soon as the energy kind of released and he calmed down, the roof would be going every single time.
Yeah, and thank you for noticing that. Yeah, and so you've been here many, many times, and we've talked about that. This is going to sound really crazy, but really this building is also a reinvention, and I really should recognize, and I do recognize and respect this, because this was a field, and when we built the barn, well, we didn't build it, but we designed it. We had this amazing team, Amish firm, Sylvan Stoltz Builders, thank you very much. Came and built both the barn and the indoor for us. And before they did that, I knew this was a sacred space. I could just feel it. And I had a lot of actually kind of concerns about building on this space. And I came down here and I many times actually, and had conversations with the nature here and told them what was going to happen and what my intention was for this space, and that if they were living right here in this space, they had 6 months' notice. Yeah. And it's continued to be just an incredible spot. In fact, at one point, so the visioning thing is really important for me. When I talk about vision, I really, really mean that. There was, at one point, we had built the barn, And I had the vision for the indoor being done at the same time, and it didn't happen because we didn't have any money and the bank said no. And that usually doesn't stop me, though. I usually figure some way around that. But I was stopped. And then we had some boarders, and there was a woman who came in, and she was thinking about boarding with us. And I said, oh, well, I was walking around the barn, and I said, let me show you the indoor. Let me show you the indoor arena. And she's like, I didn't know you had an indoor arena. I said, oh, yeah. So I took her out here, and I didn't know this person. And she had just met her, and I said, isn't it magnificent? I said, yeah, it's this. It's got skylights, and it's all these things. And she's looking at me like I had lost my mind. And so finally I said, well, it's not really there yet. And she's like, oh, my God. I said, in my mind it is, but it's not really a thing yet. But anyway, so it was 2 years later, and it came up. But what it does is that anytime there's like a tension release or whatever in here, and this happened every single time with groups, with people, every single time, it crack, it gets all crazy and loud. Of course, I've talked to atmospheric scientists, I've had them in here too when it's happening, and we've had this conversation. It's been very interesting. And I told them it's like the pressure release, and then all of a sudden it's just calm. And we've had times when we've meditated in here, and it's just dead quiet. Starting like that, it's starting to settle in because everyone gets into the same energy, and the building becomes like this part of the energy, and it's really pretty great. So it's a living, breathing organism, and right now it is the infrastructure. It's part of the housing for this experience we're having right now, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
So I always see myself in two different places at all times. One is personal and the other is business, because I've always had my own business.
Yeah.
And I have found that when I put a lot of energy and focus on my business, I kind of lose track of my personal, and then I start being pulled into that, getting stuck or not seeing options. And I've always found that when I am being more successful in business, and I start losing myself personally, that if I just stop for a moment and see where I am on this chart personally, and then vice versa, when I'm doing great personally, but my business or my business world is all over the place. Balancing the home or the mind or away from business with how I feel in business really helps the business actually grow.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so Jay, I'm curious about, not to put you on the spot, but with Taekwondo, so how do you land in that place of balance? I mean, what happened, you need to give us a lecture on this, but just if you can, I'm curious. I mean, this is Master Jay here, so just how do you find that place of balance in Taekwondo?
Physically?
Yeah.
Everything works together, and it also comes with training. It takes a lot of falling down or falling over or bumping into things before you find that balance, and finding it successful every once in a while helps you. And the big thing is people see a master or someone that's been in the world for a long time make it look easy. What they don't see is all the training that it took to make it look easy. The fact that at one point they were a no belt or a white belt and began. So that balance comes with time. Yeah. It's not something that just happens. And when you feel it, it's like, yeah. And you get all confident and you fall over.
Cool. See, so I love what you just said about that. So you guys hear the metaphor, feel the relevance, right, for everything that we're doing, and you fall down a lot. You fall down a lot, and then you find that place, and it's like, and then you fall over again. Oh, how depressing. But once you find, it's about finding that place. When you, I've found when you can find that place of balance, and balance is dynamic state, right? It's not a constant state, it's dynamic, so there's fluctuations and things. And you can use it as an anchor to find it again in another place in your life. So just noticing where you have it, even if it's fleeting, even if it's for a moment, just acknowledge, notice that, savory moment, and then you fall over. Okay, that's okay, because I could get there again, right? Thank you for that. Cool. Yeah, Nancy.
Can you talk a little bit from the standpoint of the leadership that you provide in terms of sort of the next step on that TARP project of channeling or guiding your staff's perspective on the project over time?
Yes, thank you. So really, okay, so he was introduced to it. I got an initial response. Wasn't favorable. We sat with it for a little bit. He started to ponder the possibilities. We left with his task is to talk to some subcontractors or whatever, all right, to bring us up to date, and then we're going to reconvene. So my plan, the next step, is I'm going to check back in with him on that. I'm going to let him show me where he is. What that means is, does he want to grab it and play with it? Is he going to go over in the other corner and ignore it? I want feedback from him. You know, what do you think about this? And I'm also going to go over and I'm probably going to play with it myself a little bit and say, all right, well, you had some questions in this area. Let me go into this other area as your leader and let me take a look at that. You raised a question about it. So the question would look like, in this case, me taking a piece of that tarp and going underneath it and doing this and, hey, what's in there? Oh yeah, I didn't even read that section, right? And I don't know what he's gonna do. You know, based on history, he'll probably jump back a couple times and he might stick his nose right in there and be like, oh wait, I know I can read it. You know what, it's not that big a deal. We'll get so-and-so to cover that part. So I'll just see. And if he wants to continue to pursue it, I'm gonna continue to present it because it's a $10 million project and I think it would be in our best interest long term. And I think it would be really great. I don't know if the timing is right now for my people to take that on. So there's the metaphor.
So you talked about you want feedback from him. He probably wants some feedback from you.
Absolutely.
Now, what I think you just said was that the feedback from you is you're just going to keep presenting it.
Yep.
And keep listening to his feedback.
Yep.
Not take no for an answer, essentially.
Yep.
Is there more feedback that you would want to offer beyond that to him? And how do you decide the timing on that?
Well, that's a great question. So it goes back to the vision. So as his leader, my bigger vision is this is kind of a critical part in our growth plan. Timing of the presentation of it to him and his team to handle may not be so great. So I respect that, and I can wait, you know, but I'm not going to go away from this because I think this is in the best interest of our firm, our organization, and I really want to make that happen. And if he doesn't feel like he wants to lead it, maybe someone else is going to want to lead it, and that's just fine, and that's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
How would you act if you brought in another senior member who's done a project similar and they were like, oh yeah, this part here goes here, and he'd be like, like you bring in Noble and have him walk across it and he goes, oh. Yeah. Maybe he'd be even more interested after seeing a senior person doing it.
Have you done that?
Yes.
Ha! Okay, so then I was like, that sounds like you've been doing that. So you brought in a senior person to basically demonstrate that this is not that hard and you can actually do this pretty readily.
Or not in that context. It was, here's a similar thing we did. We brought in this person. Can you explain what you did? And he explained the process and then he went, oh, I see how that relates to what we're supposed to be doing. And that's how we... Perfect.
And if you have that kind of expert around, it's a perfect thing. And it's interesting that you bring that up because just yesterday I brought Noble in, had it set up a little bit differently, walk right through the center. I mean, it was no issue. He was like, dude, check it out. This is awesome. Grabbed it, took it, tried to kill it, tried to take it out, you know. And he's not that horse always in the past. He had to learn, that was learned behavior. That's getting to your point about training. And what we're seeing is expert level stuff. You're not seeing all this depth of experience behind it. Great, great point. So you just said,
what I love is underneath all of this that you're talking about is curiosity.
Yeah.
Now you're being curious about them, what they think they can do, their reactions.
Yeah.
By you continuing to bring it forward, you're being curious about whether it's really viable, you're being curious, and when you're curious, you're open.
Yeah.
You're not demanding, you're not forcing, you're just being curious. And allowing what's going to unfold and taking it from there. And I think that's where we lose a lot with ourselves and with others, is that we lose the ability to be curious. It's what don't we know? What is scary? What isn't scary? Why is it scary? Why can we do it? Can we do it? Can we bring somebody else in that can do it?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. That is such a great point. And I work with a lot of different leaders, business leaders, organization leaders, entrepreneurs, all kinds of folks. And that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I have a job actually, is because they start to forget to get curious. And then what happens when they're not asking the right questions in their meetings with their peeps, things start to go astray sometimes. And they don't know, and they're up on the top, and as they should be. But if they just get a little more curious and start asking a couple more questions about it, go, whoa, oh, you can find all kinds of things out and quicker than you would if you just accepted, oh, everything's fine. Oh, yeah, it's great. I'm talking with so-and-so next week, and then you go to the next question, and you haven't gotten curious about, hold on, something else is going on there. You know, what about this? Or whatever. And consultants make a lot of money because the leadership's not been asking the right kinds of questions.
We do the same thing with our spouses.
Oh, yeah, well, mine's right over there. I'm sure he's curious about when we're done. So we just got a couple minutes to wrap up. So yeah, a couple comments.
So from a personal perspective and also from a leadership perspective, how do you know when, like, okay, this project is either not right for me or not right for that person? And you've exhausted all of the avenues of trying to understand, curious, train, lead, all of those things, or personally just move forward with, okay, this is not going to work. Yep. I gave it my best shot, it's time to move along.
I gave my best shot, and it's just time to move along. Did you answer your own question?
Right. So then what about so that works for both. And when you've gone down the path, it's just time to
stop. Yeah. And
so
you see this
term, stop beating death.
Well, really, it's about that nexus of skills and interest and passion. You know, if it's not there, it's not there. And if it's not there, it can start to turn into a detriment and create a toxic environment. I actually had one. I thought I had hired this fabulous person, and the person was a fabulous person, lots of experience, and was not fabulous in our environment. Was actually really not fabulous in our environment. And talk about rearing up and striking out and stuff, challenging all kinds of authority, then started building allegiances with coworkers against me, with coworkers who were fabulous before, who were partners with me, and it started this insidious little toxic crummy little thing. Senior professional. So we had a conversation, and we had another conversation, and then what we realized was this was really not a good fit. This was not a good fit for this person at his time in his life and for what he needed and what he wanted, even though he had tremendous skills. We had to excise, we had to stop that. And it was painful.
So from a personal perspective, though, sometimes when you want to pursue your own project and you've got passionate heart and soul about it, I mean, that's a tough conversation to have with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, and the timing is really important. It's about what kind of bandwidth do I really have right now in order to give my full focus and attention to something. So but we have to be careful because there's never a right time. There's never a right time. There's a worse time, but there's no right time. So it's really about, you know, what do I really want? And having that kind of honest conversation with yourself when you're taking some time away and saying, what do I want? And that can be one of the most scary conversations you could ever have with yourself because you realize sometimes how far apart you are from where you are and what you really want. But the great thing is you can always reinvent. Just take some work, which is where we're going through this process. So we're going to continue this journey together. With Lemon Squeezy, we have other horses who are desperately wanting to contribute to this process. In fact, Noble's like been standing out there the whole time. I'm ready. When is it my time? I'll even self-groom. But there's all kinds of things. So, you know, yes, Rosalind.
Picking up with Barbara on a personal level, sometimes I call mine noise.
Noise.
That be in your head.
Okay.
You have so many different processes, decisions, just stuff going on.
Yeah.
In your head.
Yeah.
And I call mine noise. How do you divide and separate? That's the best way I can explain it right now. Calm yourself down, divide and separate to zero in on what's really important. It's your thought, the thought process. How do you calm that down, that energy? Because everything's an energy, so it's that energy and calming that down to really get to what is real important. Where do I want to go with my personal life?
Yeah.
How do you
feel this?
Yeah, a calm.
Just take a breath.
Take a breath.
Right now. You're already there. Land on your feet. Long crossed. Big breath. Kind of close your eyes for a second. This is the neutral place. You guys are all in it. We're all in it together. Building is supporting you. This is where you can get clarity and peace. Feel that? That's it. So finding that place of quiet, isn't it amazing how supportive this is for this? Every single day, making that a practice so that you can hear through the noise to your truth, right? It's getting quiet and really, really being in that place, giving that to yourself. That's the fuel, that's the nourishment. If you have busy brain, you need to stop the busy brain, even for a minute. So there's a place in my book that I talk about find neutral, or keep your calm in chaos, find neutral. There's a chapter in there. It goes through a neutral exercise, which is similar to what we just did, but it gives you steps. And it's typical mindfulness kind of thing. So any kind of a mindfulness practice that's going to work for you, just start doing it. Start exploring ones. Journaling is good. Journaling gets it out of your head and onto a page. It can also gin up some busyness, I've found. So for me, I've had to go little by little baby steps into the meditation. I couldn't meditate at first. It was like going to make me freak out just trying to be quiet. Yeah, but you can't. But you can't. You just have to take it 10 seconds, one breath. There, good. And then 20 seconds, and then you build up from there. But it's a practice. It's like Jay was saying. There's a practice to it, and it will help you find that truth and hear what's right for you. Head, heart, gut. There's another chapter in there about that, decision making. We want to quiet the noise. So that's how I can hear these horses and be present for them. There's really almost nothing going on other than listening or hearing and seeing and being what's there. Someone asked me a question one day about, well, as you're coaching people, what do you do with all those noise, the little questions that keep coming up in your head as you're coaching? I said, what are you talking about? Literally, there's nothing there. I mean, I'm right in that conversation, just like you saw there. So I don't get that. But that's taken some practice. That's because it's self-judgment that's in the back. That's constantly questioning, oh, was that the right question? Oh, I should ask them a different question. Or what are they really saying? Or I missed that. There's a whole thing going on that you have to kind of let go of. Yes, Joyce, yeah, perfect. Well, great job, you guys. Really profound, profound things. And just know that this will percolate up over time. There's some things that happened today that you saw or you heard or whatever that you may not even be conscious about yet, that may come up over the next few weeks or days. And so, feel free to journal. You can send me a note. And our next session is April 14th. So stay tuned for that if you want to join us. And we'll also have this video, and that one will be videoed as well, so you can follow along. And thank you so much for being part of this journey and taking the time out of your day today. It was really, really excellent, so thank you for that.